I really think that not-for-profits play a huge role in our society and our economy. They do lots and lots of good works. They employ lots of people. They provide goods and services to many people and things that the private sector wouldn't do. And in order to be effective in this critical role that they play in society and our economy, they need to be well-governed. And so we're going to talk about what well-governing is. This is what I'm going to cover. I'm going to give you a little bit about the legal framework, because to understand what a director does, you need to know what is that framework of law that puts requirements on directors. I'll talk about the duties of individual board members. I'll talk about board responsibilities more generally. Then I'll talk about some of the challenges that boards face these days, and give some sense of some of the kinds of practices that not-for-profits have developed over time, and to help them perform their functions effectively. So, the legal framework is pretty straightforward. You have a couple of sources of law that apply to not-for-profits. How many of you are organized as, do you know your not-for-profit is organized as a corporation? And how many of you are foundations? I'm going to be talking generally from a corporate perspective. The duties, though, that we're talking about are for corporate not-for-profit directors are very, very similar for foundations that might be organized as trusts. So we're going to talk about a very similar set of duties. But let's start off with not-for-profit corporate status. In order to be a not-for-profit, you have to form as a legal entity under state law. And there are a couple of exceptions. Things like the Smithsonian and the American Red Cross. There are some federal not-for-profits that are specifically set up by statute. But I'm going to assume that we're dealing, for the most part, with state-organized corporations that are set up and given special not-for-profit status by through the state statute. And in order to get this special status, you have to be doing charitable good works, charitable purposes, and following sort of some of the basic rules in order to get that corporate not-for-profit status. So you've got your state incorporation. On top of that, there is the very special tax-exempt status that you want from the federal government. And it's really important not to confuse the two things. You could be a state not-for-profit and not have that federal tax-exempt status. It's two separate processes. But they have some similar, there's some similar goals in mind in these two sets of laws and regulations. They want to make sure that a charitable entity that's given this very special status takes the assets that it has and uses them for the purpose for which the organization was set up, and that these monies are not going to inure to the personal benefit of the people who are running the organization. That's a fundamental issue in not-for-profit law. Regulatory oversight of not-for-profits comes from lots of places: the State Attorney General in New York State, the state courts, the IRS, the federal court. We're going to talk about the laws that impact directors as fiduciaries. There are, of course, a whole host of other laws that apply to not-for-profits. And you have to follow laws around labor, and you have to follow laws around environmental protection and opportunity. But we're going to talk about the things that impact boards today.